I have the pleasure today of introducing the Reverend Aretha Flucker. Reverend Flucker has served as Brite Divinity School's Director of Community and Spiritual Life since June of this year. In this role, she loves to give leadership to Brite's weekly chapel worship experience and other community events. She is passionate about justice, social justice, community empowerment, and reimagining the church. Reverend Flucker is currently pursuing a Doctor of Ministry in Transformational Leadership at Boston University. She also serves on the board of directors for the Alliance of Baptists.
Sing with me. Over the mountains and the sea, your river runs with love for me. And I will open up my heart and let the healer set me free. I'm happy to be in the truth, and I will daily lift my hands, for I will always sing of when your love came down. I could sing of your love forever. 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 Oh, I feel like dancing. It's foolishness, I know. But when the world has seen the light, they will dance with joy like we're dancing now. I could sing of your love forever. 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 Over the mountains and the sea, your river runs with love for me, and I will open up my heart and let the healer set me free. I'm happy to be in the truth, and I will daily lift my hands, for I will always sing of when your love came down. I could sing of your love forever. 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 I could sing of your love forever.
Good morning, Brite Divinity School. It's my pleasure and joy to be with you on this morning. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be before you in this capacity. Today, I'd like to ask you to center your thoughts around the idea of the danger of misplaced anger. An expectation can be defined as a strong belief that something will happen or something will be the case in the future. We develop these expectations based off our own past experiences and things that we believe to be true. Sometimes those expectations are realized and we're happy with things working out just as we'd hoped. But then other times, expectations can be dangerous. They can lead to disillusion, disappointment, and despair, and especially when we place those expectations on other people. When it comes to individuals we love and trust, admire, and depend on and look up to, we create a different set of rules. We expect those people to never disappoint us. We expect them to be there for us when we need them, no matter the hour, no matter the day, no matter the minute. We hope that they'll celebrate our lives alongside us. For every graduation, birthday, and wedding, we anticipate them being there, being our biggest cheerleaders. We believe that they will be present, smiling and supporting us always. They would never dare to deceive us, manipulate us, or let us down. In fact, at the end of the day, it's as if we've imagined and even created the people we expect to have in our lives. Although these individuals we've manufactured may be unrealistic, we still hold on to impossible expectations. We live our lives securely and never doubt for a minute that they are the perfect friend, partner, mentor, or leader. This way of living and thinking can be quite problematic when we are faced with the reality that everyone is just like us, flawed and imperfect. How do we deal with the truth that everyone is susceptible to falling short and doing things that might just disappoint us? What do we do when our fictional cast of characters intersects with the reality and we are faced with the truth that shatter our expectations? In fact, let me push you further. How do we handle it when the entire world has let us down and seemingly dropped the ball in multiple areas and left us in spaces in which we had no expectancy to be? What happens when those unmet expectations, confusion, and disappointments turn into anger? Potiphar came face to face with the intersection of profound denial and irrational anger in the text in which we find ourselves today. Potiphar, who we may have glossed over in the past when we think about Joseph and his story, found himself at a place in which many of us know all too well. If you're like me and you've skipped past Potiphar because he seemingly played such a small role in the bigger scheme of things, let me encourage you today to dig deeper because Potiphar has much to teach us. Potiphar shows us how dangerous it can be to refuse to be honest about the fragility of humanity. He shows us how unrealistic expectations can cause us to lose sight of reality. He reveals the danger of permitting misplaced anger to take root in our lives and drive us to lose the things that give us life. Potiphar teaches us how dangerous it can be to allow life circumstances, no matter how disappointing, can propel us into desperation. You see, Potiphar was living his best life. He was one of Pharaoh's trusted officials and managed Pharaoh's household, a position I'm sure would translate in modern times to a cushy job. He had a beautiful wife, and on top of this, God had arranged things in such a way to where he was able to be at the right place at the right time to bring Joseph into his service. At the time, to Potiphar, Joseph may have just seemed like another Hebrew slave who he would put to work. But in reality, Joseph brought with him profound possibilities. Potiphar had never known what it was like to be in a life to where he had to do nothing but just sit back and just watch things unfold. He never knew what it was like to live a life in which God had God's hand on every single aspect of it. Joseph was so competent and God's hand was so entrenched on him to where Potiphar quickly saw that he could promote him and just let him handle all of the day activities. Potiphar came to see what it was like to live a worry-free life. He found new possibilities and he discovered that all he needed to do every day was just sit back, eat, luxuriate, and just enjoy life. How I wish I could live like Potiphar for a day. What must it have been like to bring someone home and your entire life be enhanced just because of their very presence? But nothing lasts forever. Both good and bad, things come and things go. You see, Potiphar wasn't the only one who noticed the great things that Joseph brought to the household. Potiphar's wife also noticed. And she decided that she wanted Potiphar's work to extend past the duties. She decided that she wanted Joseph's work to extend past Potiphar's work that he had assigned. Potiphar's wife wanted Joseph badly. So much so that she relentlessly pursued Joseph day in and day out. She was unwilling to take no for an answer. When she saw that she wasn't going to get her way with Joseph, she resorted to lying. Regardless of how her deception might have destroyed Joseph's life, she still decided to lie and say that Joseph attacked her. The Message translation of this text says that she told her servants, the Hebrew slave, the one you brought to us, came after me and tried to use me for his plaything. What is more even insulting is that in that moment, she strategically chose to demean Joseph and bring him all the way down to a Hebrew slave, someone beneath all of them. With her lie, she sought to destroy Joseph. And she also unwittingly forced Potiphar to come face to face with the reality that just maybe his expectations were too high. You may be thinking that Potiphar was confronted with the realization that he had placed a premium on Joseph's expectations. But when you dig deeper in this story, we see the possibility that perhaps, just maybe, Potiphar knew that his wife was deceiving him. You see, upon hearing the accusation, Potiphar became enraged and threw Joseph into prison. If we take a moment to pause here, Potiphar's choice of punishment for someone who supposedly tried to rape his wife was rather odd. Potiphar owned Joseph. He was enslaved to him. He could do with Joseph whatever he wished. If a person posed a threat to him or his wife, let alone tried to rape her, Potiphar could kill Joseph, no questions asked. Yet instead, Potiphar chose to throw Joseph in prison. Instead of being honest about the reality that his wife was lying to him and being angry with her, he chose to place all of his anger in Joseph, someone who had been nothing but faultless and faithful. In this moment, Potiphar chose to live in denial. He chose to distance himself from the one thing that blessed him in more ways than he could count. Instead of accepting the fact that perhaps someone he trusted had deceived him, he instead let his embarrassment and his anger guide him to destroy someone else's life. Sure, we may be thinking that Potiphar was in love. He was embarrassed. He was heartbroken. No one in real life would pull a Potiphar and take their anger out on the wrong person. But here is where misplaced anger becomes a dangerous thing. You see, it's so easy to allow people and things closest to us to become targets of our own anger. Through our rash actions, we unwittingly destroy our own happiness. It's so easy to destroy relationships because we blame others for our unfulfilled dreams, for our unhappiness, for our unrealized hopes, when in reality, other people have nothing to do with it. It's effortless to internalize the things that have happened to us, and we become angry with our own selves, convincing ourselves that perhaps we are somehow to blame. You see, misplaced anger is a dangerous thing. Now, more than ever, people are angry. We're angry because we're tired. We're angry because we've lost people due to COVID-19, or we ourselves have suffered from the virus. In a world of lonely isolation, painful separation, debilitating fear, grief, and anxiety, we are all feeling anger and confusion as to how in the world we got here. But in times like these, it's even more important to allow our anger to empower us and not hinder us. You see, it's one thing to be upset and even angry, but we are all entitled to that emotion. But the thing is that if we can take a lesson from Potiphar, we have to target our anger in the right place. The truth is, we live in a world that was ill created, that is unfair, that is biased. Yet in all of this chaos, I see the power that we possess to change this world in which we live. We may feel powerless, and like most people, we might have lost some hope. But we can prophetically call forth a new reality. We can remember to hold on to that anger that we feel so deeply within us and allow it to inspire us to start anew and to create afresh. We can use our voices. We can use our votes. We can choose different leaders. We can change the narrative. Yes, we possess the power to rise out of this pandemic wiser, stronger, better, more focused, and driven to create the world in which we want to live. Even more good news today is that there's no need to let this anger that's in us consume us. No, the year 2020 is not nearly what we expected it to be. However, this pandemic is not new for God. God has seen and heard it all. In times of pain, our God has a track record of helping us through that type of anger and helping us with love, the type of love that only God can give. In our times of confusion, God has been and always will be places of peace and refuge and joy. In times of anger, God is ready here to love us and to flank us in peace. Just when things seem impossible, God has shown time and time again that impossibilities can easily become possibilities. The God who was, the God who is, the God who will always be here to do God's part. It's up to us to redirect our anger and turn it into the thing that motivates us and draws us into spaces of newness, creation, and possibilities. Potiphar misplaced his anger. He punished a man who had done nothing but be kind and generous to him. Out of his anger, Potiphar destroyed the magnificent provisions that God had blessed him with. At the end of the day, imprisoning Joseph only furthered God's plans for him, but Potiphar was left with nothing but his anger. How would his story have been different had he shifted his anger? How would his story have been different had he not let his anger consume him and he chose differently? What would his anger have looked like if he had placed it in the right place and healed from it and let it inspire him to see life through another lens? What will it look like when you and I choose to be honest about the things that have hurt us, disappointed us, and angered us, and decide to take that power back? Believe me, I'm angry too. I deal with racism every day. I deal with sexism every day. And on top of that, I had COVID-19 and I know what it's like to deal with the damage that that virus has caused on my body and my brain every single day. I'm upset too. But what will it look like if we accept that the people and things may not turn out as we expect them to, but in every disappointment, there is an opportunity? How differently would this world look if we didn't allow our unmet expectations and anger drive us into deep places of confusion and irrationality? What will today look like when we rise out of anger into beautiful places of love and joy and power? I can understand the overwhelming feeling that some of you may be feeling today, and you may be wondering how to make an impact, where to start, what to do. I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. One of the simplest things we can do is to vote. Today is National Voter Registration Day. We have a major election coming up in just a few weeks, and every single one of our votes counts. Beyond that election, I encourage you to vote all the time for local and state positions. It's up to us to get registered, to encourage other people to vote. And if we don't want to go because of COVID, then what we can do is we can mail in our ballots. We can do our parts. Beyond this election, the Brite community will be starting a social justice team, another way to get involved. There are so many ways to connect and to change the landscape of this society, but the world is waiting for you to say yes to it. The world is waiting for you to say, I'm not gonna let my anger guide me into places that are dark and desperate, yet I'm gonna let my anger inspire me to change this very world. We are in unprecedented times, yes. But unprecedented times call for unprecedented actions of love and unity. What will you do with your anger today? Will you be a Potiphar and blame all the wrong people and cause your own demise? Or will you choose differently? Will you choose to let that fire that is in you come out to the surface and inspire you and empower you and encourage you? How will you respond to the climate in which we are all in right now, here today? How will you react to it? What will you do with your anger? What will you do with your frustration? The world is waiting and yearning to find out. Amen.